Let's give a hand to Alvin Shaw. Good afternoon. Today we're debating the topic of abortion, which obviously is a very controversial issue. And that's why I want to thank ASI for willing to host this debate, and for Professor Chadwick for being willing to participate. I'm going to argue that abortion should be illegal. And my rationale is simple. If abortion kills an innocent human being, then abortion should be illegal for the same reasons that it's illegal to kill a newborn, a 1-year-old, a 5-year-old, or a 20-year-old. It turns out then there's really only one question to resolve in this entire abortion debate. And that one question is, what is the unborn? Let me give you an illustration as to why I think this is the key question. Imagine for a moment you have a 5-year-old brother. And one night while you're on your computer typing, doing your homework, you're on Facebook or something, your 5-year-old brother comes up behind you. And while your back is still turned, he asks you, "Can I kill this?" Now before you can answer his question, what one question are you going to answer or ask him? What is it? Exactly. So imagine now you turn around and he's holding a cockroach in his hand. What's your answer going to be? Yes. Sure, smush the thing, right? Well, what if he's holding your neighbor's cat? I know all your dog lovers out there, what are you thinking? But perhaps you should think twice about that, right? What if he's holding your sister by the neck? Well, I think your brother probably needs some counseling, right? And so what this tells us is that whether or not it's moral to kill something depends entirely upon what it is we're killing. And so if you ask the question, what is the unborn? And it turns out that the unborn is not a human being, then there's no problem with having an abortion. If abortion entails simply removing something like your appendix or having your tooth pulled, then it's no big deal. You can have the abortion. You don't have to give a defense for abortion. But if you ask the question, what is the unborn? And the answer turns out to be that the unborn is a human being, then we have a big problem with abortion, because abortion entails then killing an innocent human being. So what is the unborn is the key question. Let me answer that question for you from science. The science of embryology proves that from the moment of conception, the unborn is a human being just like you and me. And we know the unborn is alive because it meets the biological criteria for a living organism. It grows, it responds to stimuli, it metabolizes nutrients and transfers it into energy. We also know that the unborn is a unique individual, distinct from the mother's body. Now, the unborn has its own unique genetic fingerprint, for example, and that means every cell in its body is genetically different than every cell in its mother's body. The unborn also has its own brain, its own heart, its own lungs, its own blood and circulatory system. In fact, the unborn can have a different race than the mother. You can have an African-American child growing inside a Swedish mother. In fact, the unborn can be conceived outside of the mother in a petri dish and then later implanted inside the mother, which is further testimony that the unborn is a separate, unique, distinct organism, separate from the mother. We also know that the unborn is a human type of being, and we know this by two ways. First is that its genetic signature tells us that the unborn is a human being from the very first stage of development, the zygote level. Second of all, science tells us that species reproduce after their own kind, meaning if two dogs get together and mate, they produce another dog, right? If two lions get together and mate, they produce another lion. My wife and I have two children, and though we may have wondered whether we're going to have a boy or a girl, it's not like we ever wondered that whether we would have a human or not. It's like we were surprised that a human baby came out, because we know human beings reproduce after their own kind. So I've shown that the unborn is alive, separate and distinct, a unique individual from its mother, and 3, that it's a human type of being. To put it simply, the unborn is a human being just like you and me. Now, I want to show you a video that lets you see abortion. Now, I have 3 reasons for showing you this video. The first is that this is a debate about abortion, so it seems entirely reasonable that we all see exactly what it is we're debating. 2, this video will allow you to confirm with your eyes what your mind has already learned, and that is that the unborn is a human being. And 3, this video shows the precise nature of what abortion does to unborn human beings, so that you can have an additional element to help you decide whether it should be legal to kill 3,500 unborn human beings every single day in America alone. And this video will show you what are the after effects of that. Now, I want to warn you, this video is extremely graphic. It's very disturbing. And so although I want you to watch it, I don't want anyone to feel coerced into viewing its contents. And so if you feel a little bit uneasy about this or you do not want to see it, I simply encourage you to just simply close your eyes or look away. Okay? Let's go ahead and roll the video. Now, as you can see from this video, abortion is an act of violence that dismembers and kills an innocent human being. Now, some of you might say, well, you know what, Alan, I agree that the unborn is a human being, but still there's some obvious differences between an unborn and a born human being. Now, I totally agree with you. There are some differences, and here are the differences. Size, level of development, environment, and degree of dependency. Those are the only 4 differences, but none of them disqualify the unborn from being a valuable human being. And none of them justify killing the unborn. Now you can remember these 4 differences with the acronym SLED. S-L-E-D. The first one is S, stands for size. Yes, it's true the unborn are smaller than born human beings. But a 1-year-old is smaller than a 10-year-old. Does that mean a 10-year-old is more valuable than a 1-year-old simply because it's smaller? Women are generally smaller than men. Does that mean that men are more valuable than women simply because of their size? Absolutely not, because size has nothing to do with value. L stands for level of development. Yes, it's true the unborn is less developed than a born human being. But I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she doesn't even have her reproductive organs fully developed enough to be able to reproduce, whereas a 15-year-old girl does. Does that mean the 15-year-old girl is more valuable or more of a person than the 3-year-old daughter? Absolutely not, because level development is irrelevant to the question of value. E stands for environment. Yes, it's true the unborn is located in a different location than a born human being. It's located in the uterus. But where one is has no bearing on who one is. Do people, when they travel up in space or in a spacesuit, are they somehow less valuable because they're there? Or if somebody swims underwater with a scuba gear, does that mean somehow their value is less? Absolutely. So how is it that a journey of just 7 inches down the birth canal can magically transform a non-valuable tissue blob into a valuable human being? It can't. Nothing has changed except its location. And finally, D is degree of dependency. Yes, it's true the unborn is more dependent upon the mother for its survival. But since when does degree of dependency upon somebody else somehow disqualify you as being a valuable human being? Newborn human beings, as all of us probably know who have had kids, newborns are just as dependent upon their mother for survival as well. Conjoined twins are dependent upon one another's bodies for their survival, but we don't kill conjoined twins simply because they're dependent upon one another. Those are the only 4 differences between born human beings and unborn human beings and born human beings. And none of those 4 differences are relevant to the question of value. Now, what Professor Chadwick is going to have to do is to show that abortion should remain legal is to show that the unborn are not human beings. And she can't simply assume this. She's going to have to give evidence for it. So we'll see what she says. So should abortion be illegal? Well, I've shown scientifically that the unborn are human beings. And I've shown philosophically that there's no morally significant difference between the unborn and born human beings. Therefore, the answer to that question is yes, abortion should be illegal because it kills an innocent